Hey adventurers, so today is going to be another book review. This is going to be for The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. This is an Arthurian book. It's very much fantasy in a lot of ways. Definitely some aspects of historical fiction as well in here if you want to go that way, but it's definitely fantasy as well. Mythology, the Arthurian myth is very prevalent, as well as lots of other mythological elements that are brought into this. So The Crystal Cave is the first book in the Merlin trilogy, or the Arthurian Saga by Mary Stewart. This is a retelling of the Arthurian legend with a focus on Merlin, as would be visible by the first three books in the series being considered the Merlin trilogy. And so at least this first book is focused on Merlin. The first book also tells the story of a young Merlin, so that's kind of what we're doing. We're focusing on Merlin. The first book tells the story of a young Merlin from his childhood unto his adulthood and rise to power. There's also a ton here about the building of a new kingdom and the transition between rulers and the political strife of the land. So there's a lot of things tying together into this world. We know that the kingdom of what will become known as Camelot is coming into existence, but it's not here yet. It's just off in the future, and it's kind of foreshadowed. And we're seeing it come to pass as the story progresses. Before I get into this review, I'd just quickly like to say welcome to An Erudite Adventure. I'm T. If you're liking what you're seeing from us, please like, comment, and subscribe. So the Arthurian myth is one of my favorite settings for stories to be told. I love the Arthurian myth, as is pretty clear with, if you go look, I think I have 27 videos about Arthuriana on this channel or something like that. And so I've talked about it quite a bit, and it's one of my favorite myths. It's one of my favorite settings for stories to be told, and it's something that always resonates with me. Always I end up enjoying at least some aspect of it, even if I find fault with the story being told, even if I find fault with various aspects. I always enjoy some aspect of the Arthurian myth, of a Arthurian retelling. This book does an excellent job of fitting into that world while telling something new and interesting, while clearly having a great respect for the myth, which is something that I don't always see. It absolutely goes its own way and has its own spin on the myth. It's not just rehashing the same tale that we've seen over and over again, but it never feels like it's never in a way that it feels like it's intentionally edgy or like it's making fun of the myth or trying to purposely be different. That's not what this book feels like. It feels like very classic, true to its origins, fantasy version of the Arthurian myth. But even with that, the way that it's told is unique unto itself. It takes itself seriously, but does so by focusing on the story being told, which, in my opinion, should always be how books are written. And when books are not written to tell a story, when books are written to push an agenda, when books are written to be funny, when they are so genre specific that it takes away the story aspect, I don't care for that nearly as much. I want a story to be a story first and foremost. Merlin is a strong character in this, and I don't mean like powerful, although he is that as well, but rather that his character is interesting, is complex, and realistic. He's far from perfect, but he has a level of wisdom and perception that allows him to be both the Merlin from the myth as well as a realistic character. And that's something really interesting for me to see, because so often we see a Merlin who's already aged into the wise old wizard mentor figure that we know and that we associate with Merlin, or else he is a edgy, dark, bad guy. And both of those things aren't always great. The one other time that I've seen a Merlin that feels like this is from the BBC TV series Merlin. I feel like this is kind of a very similar Merlin to Merlin from that series, which is also just makes me enjoy these books more. This book takes and plays with many of the origins of the character and blends them to both make the story work, but also in a way that they make sense. And what I mean by that is there's so many different like rumored origins of Merlin, of his character. Who is he? Is he Fae? Is he Druid? Is he spawn of a demon? Like, what is actually his origin? And this book kind of takes those and ties them together, ties them into these things that make sense with the story being told in a way that is interesting, it's realistic, it makes sense with the story being told, and it works. And that's really cool that Stewart is able to do that and take all these different origins, because they're oftentimes contradictory origins, but able to use them well. And so, yeah, I appreciated that aspect as well. They make sense how the rumors could have started, as well as they make sense as an origin for this Merlin, for the Merlin that is portrayed in this series. This also has a unique version of Uther. In some ways, I'm reminded a bit of Uther from Gemmell's Ghost King, but mostly he just starts out as an extremely annoying character, but grows through the story to someone of respect, which I love seeing that a character can grow like that. But he still ends up being the Uther that we all expect. That character of Uther that we know is very much this Uther as well, even though you gain some respect for him as the book progresses. And I feel like it works well, especially for this story. I didn't love, and I never loved the whole Merlin helping with Igraine situation like that. I don't love that. It always feels weird, especially if you're trying to portray Merlin as this good guy, wise mentor character, and if you have him go assist in fornication and adultery, I don't love that, especially if you're trying to say, oh yeah, Merlin is a good guy. It doesn't work for me, and so that aspect of the story I don't love. It just feels weird and wrong to me, which I think it's kind of supposed to in a lot of ways, and for a lot of things. And they do try and give some sort of explanation here with him knowing what it will lead to and being like, but this is such a good thing. This is going to be the best thing because he has a seer's power, and he can view and prophesy into the future and stuff like that. And so we're getting that aspect of it, and him being like, this is going to lead to something great, so I guess it's okay type thing. And again, it just doesn't sit well with me. I don't love it. It does make for an evocative sequence. There's a very interesting sequence with that and how all that happens that I enjoyed the storytelling of it, I guess, and the action of it. I don't love all of what it means, even though I know what it means and what it's being used for and how it's bringing future events to pass. It does make for an evocative sequence, though, with the invasion of Tintagel. I would also say that there is not enough of the titular Crystal Cave. I feel like that's a fault, a failure, I guess, of this book. I would like to see more of the Crystal Cave that the book is named after. The concept I really like, and I would love to have seen it explored more and been more of a focus of the story. But it is possible that we will see more of it in the upcoming books. So this, like I said, this is a series. This is the Arthurian Saga. I believe there's 5 books in the series, maybe 6. And so there's definitely more books to go, and maybe we'll see more of it in future books, and that would be a good thing. I would appreciate that. There's a lot of interesting magic stuff going on here, including with the Mithras followers and all of that. So that's a kind of a whole other mythology that's being brought into it, and some dark demonic cultish stuff going on. And generally I don't love that. Like, pretty much I'll never enjoy that aspect unless it's done in a way that does not portray it as good at all. And that's not what we were getting here. We were getting something that was very clearly dark and demonic and evil. And so I liked seeing that as well. In general, I'd say that this book feels like my type of fantasy book. It fits exactly what I was wanting from an Arthurian retelling, and in a lot of ways reminds me of the Pendragon cycle. It's better in some aspects, and in some aspects I prefer the Pendragon cycle, like the aforementioned Igraine situation. But it is some truly wonderful storytelling, in my opinion, with a lot of the inter-story subtext and prophetic imagery that is not always subtle, but it works together for the sake of the story, and it's not just random stuff to fill out the book. It actually is all beneficial to the story being told, and so I really appreciated that as well. Overall, I had a ton of fun with this book, and I cannot wait to continue the series. I am always looking for more Arthuriana and hoping to enjoy it. Of course, I'm always hoping to enjoy it. In a lot of ways, this is nothing terribly new or fancy in terms of fantasy, but it works extremely well for what it is, and is kind of exactly what I've been looking for a while. It's definitely one that I would recommend pretty widely, probably not to every single person, but there's a lot of people that I could and would recommend this to, and I had a lot of fun with it. I definitely want to read more of the series. This is kind of exactly what I was looking for and hoping that it would be. So anyways, that is my review of The Crystal Cave by Mary Stewart. Thank you guys for watching an Erudite Adventure. We post videos every Monday and Thursday, and our social media is linked in the description down below. We will see you guys again soon. Stay warm.